Anyone in the mood to make something exciting, colorful, and delicious? Well, I've got just the thing for you. Today we're going to make a red, white, and yellow cake. What's the red and white? Very simple. The yellow cake with the cherry filling and the banana filling. So I guess you could almost call it a yellow cherry banana cake. And we're going to make that with an amazing pistachio topping. What we're going to start out with is typically 3 cups of flour, which is already in here, teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of baking powder, teaspoon of baking soda. I did not add sugar, so no sugar here. What's also added, and you can even add more if you'd like, is a tablespoon of vanilla extract. What's also going to be added is 3 mashed bananas, 1 can of cherry pie filling, and I also am not using any oil. So what's in here is approximately 1.5 cups of applesauce to substitute. For those of you who think you might want it a little moister, you can go for 2 cups. Three eggs, and 1.5 cups of water, and 1/4 cup of shredded coconut. Now all we need to do is blend this exciting combination with our trusty mixer. Wow, that was interesting. But you know, it's things like this that remind people that we're all human. The main thing is no mistakes with the recipe. Let's see, why is this not lining up right? Everything always gets very interesting at times. But nonetheless, it will get where it needs to go. If they won't keep falling out. Hey, what the heck? Maybe today's a day for humor. Nothing to be constipated about. They will line up. If not, I will mix it by hand. That's one of the great things about this recipe. You don't have to be dependent on a mixer. But let's see, will they stay or will they choose not to? That's the question. Well, we shall see. Cherry, and the basic foundation of the yellow cake, all combined, making a very interesting combination. You must check out the colors of this. Absolutely terrific. Beautiful. Nicely well blended. Now all we need to do is put this into a wonderful 9 by 13 pan. We're going to bake this at 350 degrees for 40 minutes. Depending on your oven, it could be 45. But on the average, it should be 40 minutes. Ready to rock and roll. Absolutely beautiful. It's going to be so tasty and wonderful. And while this is baking, we can make our terrific pistachio pudding topping. Get to the glass drop, they always say, right? I always like everything smooth and even. Is it good to be such a perfectionist? Who the heck knows? But I do know one thing. This is going to be absolutely perfect with anything. So beautiful, the coloring. So nice. This is now going to bake, as I've stated, for 40 minutes. While that's baking, we'll get ready to make our pistachio topping. What you're basically going to need is 1 packet of pistachio pudding, some heavy cream, and of course for garnish you'll need some chocolate chips. Very simple, not complicated. Let's start setting up, shall we? The cake is baking, and while that's baking, let's make our wonderful pistachio pudding icing. In order to explain what to do, but it's kind of nice to see it get prepared. Let's see if everything else will cooperate. Okay, we've got our heavy cream. This is a 16-ounce container. I'm just going to use half. Unless, of course, you've chosen to increase this recipe and make it a larger cake, in which case if you've used a 16 by 19 pan and have increased the amounts, then of course, yes, you would need this full container to make sure you've covered it corner to corner. And in which case you wouldn't use one little 4-ounce package of pistachio pudding. You would use 8 ounces if you want it nice and thick, or 6 if you tend to like things on the thin side and not nice and thickly iced. So this is a very generous covering, and it'll be very nice. And you can always afterwards garnish with fruit. As you can see, they've decided to stay this time. They didn't decide to jump around. It'll take a couple of minutes. There you have it. It finally found its position of comfort. But that pistachio pudding is going to be wonderful on top. And as I've stated, you can garnish with some nice chocolate chips. You could add some fruit. And you could even add some syrups. And maybe even extra dollops of whipped cream afterwards. You have enough heavy cream left, so you could always whip up a separate batch. And you can make it very decorative and exciting. Before we know it, that cake will be ready. And we will decorate everything and make it look beautiful for you. Stay tuned. Looks like we're ready to have our cake and eat it too. First we better ice it. So we're going to start off with that wonderful pistachio icing that we ended off with. We're just going to very nicely and generously spread it along the top of the cake. We should be spreading this very liberally. It's going to add wonderful color to the cake. Absolutely wonderful color. You're just going to continue adding accordingly. Some people ice the entire cake. In this case, I'm not going to ice the entire thing because this cake, not only is it great for a dessert after a dinner or a lunch, if you want to have the option of using it as a breakfast cake, even though this is a very light icing, some people might just want to have the cake plain without icing. So therefore, I'm leaving the option open. But meanwhile, I'm going to cut a slice. I'm going to continue to garnish because remember that extra whipped cream we spoke about? That could be nicely mixed in and make a beautiful decoration. So I'm going to cut us a nice piece. First piece is always the most difficult to get out, I find, with cakes. Let's hope that we are successful. We cut this and bring it out nicely so that you guys can really have an appreciation of how beautiful this cake really is. This is always the fun part for me. Let's see if I can do a nice job taking it out. And now what we can do is add some whipped cream to that to make it look absolutely wonderful. Chocolate chips. I always do like to make things look colorful and nice. You even put a little bit more whipped cream on the side. Look how beautiful that looks. And this is your yellow cherry banana cake with a pistachio pudding on top, some whipped cream and some chocolate chips. Very delicious and thoroughly enjoyable. Have your cake and eat it too. Good anytime. Thank you for joining us.